I'm Dana Gentry, your Communications Director at SEIU. Today we're talking with Assembly candidate Jason Frierson. Thanks so much for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
You're a veteran of the legislature, then you were outed in the red wave, and so now you're making a comeback. Why did you decide to go back?
Well, I saw it as a sabbatical. I had a lot of, I had a lot of blood on that field, and I felt like I had more work to do. So I took advantage of some time home with the family, but I committed that night of the election to come back and bring some friends with me. So I never really got out of it, and I just stayed behind the scenes and helped my friends as much as I could. I have more work to do. I have 2 kids now, and I want to make sure that things are better for them, and I feel like I have more to contribute.
You've been committed to criminal justice reform issues, and last session they made some strides. What do you see coming forward in the next session as far as criminal justice?
Well, I think across the nation there's been some criminal justice reform measures, and I think that we are interested in continuing that. I have relationships with law enforcement and with other stakeholders in the community. That's not going to be my focus. I do believe that criminal justice reform is going to be one of the ways that we have to look to save money by being smart with how we use it.
And what are you focusing on?
My focus is really coming back to the legislature with some strong candidates that can help bring integrity back to the process, consistency, reliability. I think that we went from being a nationwide example for the country to being somewhat of a joke across the country, and we have to get back to doing the work for Nevadans as opposed to making the news for outrageous behavior.
You're talking about the bathroom bill and
the bathroom
things like
bill,
that.
and we can't figure out how to take care of our kids, but we can have debates that we use taxpayer money on to talk about whether or not kids can get disciplined for shaping a pastry like a gun. We're better than that, and I think that Nevadans deserve better than that.
It was a tough session for labor, I'm sure you know.
Yes.
Short of electing a slate of union-friendly candidates, if you have to reach across the aisle, what's the message going to be to the other side when it comes to protecting labor rights?
Well, protecting labor rights or protecting working people. And the word labor shouldn't distract anybody from being committed to protecting working people. I have a great relationship with the Assembly Republican leadership. I have a great relationship with the executive office. And I think that there are some areas of common ground that we can reach. There's some areas that we just simply can't revisit in the name of protecting working families. And I think if we phrase it in that way and come together in good faith, I think we can do some good work without hurting working families.
What about the fight for 15 to raise the minimum wage?
Well, I think that most folks recognize that minimum wage used to be something that when you were 14 and got a working permit you used to buy clothes in the summer. And now people are trying to take care of their families off of that. And I think with the change in the economy and the change in how working families provide for each other, we have to acknowledge in some way that we have to change how we pay. And I think Nevada is pretty unique in having a division as far as the health insurance having an impact on what that minimum amount is. I think that we have to take that into consideration as well, and we have to make sure that whatever that minimum health insurance policy is, it's a real policy and not just something on paper so that they can avoid making the payment. But these are things that we have to talk about, and so what that amount is and how we get there are things that I think if we had a real productive and good faith conversation, we could figure out where we need to go forward.
What's on the minds of your constituents as you're out walking?
Well, right now, and we're walking and it's fresh after the presidential caucus, so that is something that's on a lot of people's minds, and a lot of folks are frustrated about having to wait and wondering why we don't have a presidential caucus.
Primary.
Oh, I'm sorry, primary. Quite frankly, I think solar is on folks' minds and is going to be increasingly on folks' minds. How we deal with folks that have made that investment and how we deal with folks in the future that are going to make that investment.
How do you attract businesses when we've had this brush up with the solar industry?
Well, it's not only the brush up with the solar industry, but we've just had a significant change in how we deal with the taxes for the business industry or business community, and we have to provide some level of consistency both in our tax level but also in things like solar. And when we have innovative businesses that want to expand and the laws changing every other year, that doesn't create a healthy environment. So we were the leader in solar, and we have to get back to being a leader in solar, and we have to do it in a smart way. But we have to do it in a way that allows us to be consistent for businesses to have, you know, a reasonable expectation of where they're going to be more than 2 years at a time.
All right, Mr. Frierson, appreciate you joining us. Thank
Thank
you.
you.